We are live. This is Kyle Galaz with Poor2Pro Car Sales Training Podcast, and I get to do an awesome one-on-one with a gentleman out of the East Coast named Rick. Rick, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Hi everybody. I'm Rick Pena, short for Eric. I work at Ableoff Nissan down in Bartonsville, PA. I actually just started the car business about March or February of this year. Prior to working there, I actually worked at a Mazda dealership down in Allentown, PA, which is pretty good, and that's how I got my start at the car business. I worked in sales for over 10 years. I worked for a telemarketing company, two telecom marketing companies. Did that for 10 years, and then now that I'm doing car sales, to be completely honest with you, I thinking back to like, why didn't I do this a lot sooner than I should have? You know, even now I talked to, like, I actually spoken to one of my old colleagues who actually still works where I used to work. And the first thing I told him was, dude, car sales. So like, that's where it is. Him and also another buddy of mine as well, who also does sales. I don't know what he does, telemarketing, telecommunications or something like that too. Also same deal. I was like, dude, you're handsome. You could, you could be a car salesman easy, no problem. And the money is just, it's there. It's 100% there. But yeah, and that's pretty much it. And I currently live in Pennsylvania. Used to be from Jersey, originally from New York City. So that's for that. Isn't that good? That's good.
Nice, very nice. Do you work today? Did you go to a dealership today?
No. Today's Sunday, so our dealerships are closed on Sundays.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, some dealerships are closed, some are open on Sunday. But the fact of the matter is, Rick, you're and I say this in my podcast, you're off duty right now. You could be playing video games, you could be watching movies, you could be on a date, you could be doing all this, but because you're new to the car business, you want to get better, and you're actually spending time and money to get better, which tells me you're ready to go to the next level. You don't want to be stagnant, because we've all met the stagnant salesman that it's like, what are you doing in the car business still if you hate it that much? You know, that's all they talk about, how much they hate it. But you meet people like you and me, and we can't get enough of it, right? It's because we love what we do, and we see the value in the car business. So I appreciate you doing this, and I'm glad I get to meet you. So you actually gave me the idea for that last podcast, controlling the customer. And did you get to listen to it a little bit, or the whole thing?
No, I listened to the whole thing. At that point, like I got the idea. I got the idea because prior to that, like, I got chewed out by one of my bosses because I didn't know how to control the customers. Like, you know what that shows me? Why is the customer sitting down? Why is the customer just walking the showroom? Why is he not, like, paying attention? What this shows me is that you have no control of the customer. You have no control. So that I started thinking about it as just like, oh, like I understand what he's saying in terms of, like, you know, how to have the customer sit down. And since that last conversation, I've gotten a little bit better of what you said in the podcast, is like, make yourself valuable, make yourself interesting enough for people to follow you, like, make yourself important so people could follow you, that you know the information, you're the professional, you know what's best. So when I see a customer on the lot and they ask me, hey, how much is for this car? How much is it for that car? Like, I instantly know now, on that last podcast that you did, oh, okay, like, it's not just a matter of, like, giving you that information. It's a matter of, like, hey, you know, you want that information, I can give you more information. If you actually come inside yourself and you step in, you know, I'll go through the whole process with you, and I'll explain to you how much this car costs, how many miles are on this car, which car actually fits you guys, you know. Yeah. So, and I started using that, like, in the last couple of days. And to be honest, like, for the last, we're Sunday, I closed one Saturday. I didn't get any action on Friday because it was completely dead. But prior to that, Thursday, Wednesday, and Monday, one car each of those days. Yeah.
That's when I released the episode. No, I can't take all the credit. You know, when I talk to my guys that I work with at the dealership, I tell them, all this is already in you. Okay. It's just, you met somebody that can help bring it out. I'm not reinventing sales. I'm just helping you find that talent in you and just find easier ways to the sale. So don't think that, oh, that stuff wasn't already in Rick. It was in you. We just needed to fine tune those tools to get you to sell and get you to understand what those customers are really saying. And I left a couple things out of the podcast, that episode, so I can bring them up to you here. And one of them, we were talking about taking control. So I used to get grilled all the time too from my sales managers when I was new. I was yelled at, get control of your customers, because that was 20 years ago, but I remember the feeling of getting yelled at. And one of the things in my career I always want is, okay, you can tell me once, and you're not going to have to tell me again, because I'm not the caliber that you get to yell at me. That's not me. No manager gets to yell at Kyle. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's just not who I am. And the same thing for you. You're at a caliber and an age where it's like, you don't get to yell at me. I mean, I'm a professional salesman. No one yells at me, but they're not really yelling. They're more of like, hey, get control of your customer, gosh dang it, or whatever they're saying.
Yeah.
But they're really, if they take a little bit of time to show you, your sales managers know how to do it. I'm not discrediting them at all. There's a reason why they're there. So they just need to tell you some of this stuff. But one of the things I left out was, remember I said, be worth following?
Yes.
In the podcast. The next one I want to add to that, be worth following. And I wrote it down here, and customers will listen to your commands. Okay. So I'm going to give you an example. If you go into a doctor's office and you go up to the window and say, hey, I'm here to see Dr. Pena. Okay.
Yeah.
And the lady says, okay, fill this out. Do you argue with her or go wander the parking lot?
No, that's ridiculous. Yeah. So just based on the fact that she's the receptionist and I'm here to do something I came to do, like, because majority of customers, they come in and they either don't know exactly what it's like to, what they're doing, but they know, they have an idea that they want to buy a car. So you're not analogy of like, you're the professional, what's best here, come with me. I have all the information that you're looking for. It's just.
Yeah, exactly. There's no way I'm going to go into the doctor's office with a broken arm or a hurt kidney, and the receptionist lady that makes $15 an hour, whatever her hourly wage is, tells me, hey, I need you to fill out this form. And I'm going to say, well, hold on, let me think about it. Let me go, hold on. And you go wander a lot, and the doctor comes out and says, well, get control of your customer, right? The reason why that doesn't happen at a doctor's office is because, first, you're pretty upfront of why you're there. Okay. There's a reason why you're there, right? No different than a customer. There's a reason why they're at your dealership. But they also see that receptionist as a path to what they need to be done. She's a valuable person, because without filling this paperwork out, you don't get to see the doctor. Well, that's how you need to position yourself as not just a car salesman, because a lot of people look down at us car sales. Oh, you're a used car salesman, or you're a car salesman. Okay, no, time out. You may think that's what I am, but I'm not. Wait till you see my services, and you'll know that, oh yeah, Rick is different. He's not a car, he's a professional. Go see this guy. So you're the person in between. What they want to do is fulfill their dreams of buying a beautiful car, right? A beautiful new Nissan, or even a pre-owned vehicle. So it's no different for you. You're not the receptionist, of course. You're more the doctor, but you can see that you wouldn't argue at the receptionist desk with the paperwork. You just do it because you know that is, she's a professional. This is how I get my work done. So that's how you need to be viewed by your customers. And you do that by being worth the following part, being valuable enough as a salesperson. It's like, hey, babe, we can't buy a car. We need this guy, right? But the only way that works is if you show how valuable you are, show how professional you are. And it sounds like you are on the right path, because at the end of be worth following, and your customers will take commands or listen to your commands, now you've established that you are a professional, you know what you're doing, you're not goofing around. And then when you say, hey, I need you guys to stay at my desk because it's time sensitive, because if I go to my sales manager, work these numbers, and come back and you're gone, then you get out of our queue system to go faster. So I just need you guys to stay put for a few minutes. You gave them a reason why you're telling them to sit down, right? You're not just saying stay here, because people don't like commands, right? Just like a toddler doesn't. So, but they like commands when there's a reason behind it. Hey, I don't want you guys to lose your spot in getting approved and all that finance stuff. So make sure you guys stay right here. I'll be right back. Guess where those people will be when you're back with the pencil or the structure?
They're sitting right there.
Because they don't want to lose the queue in the line. It's like getting in line for McDonald's in the drive-through. If you pull out to the side to think about it or wander the lot, you lose your spot. So make an example of that, like the drive-through, or make it make sense of why you're telling them to sit down, and then they'll listen to your commands because you've established yourself as a professional. Okay, so people don't listen to commands from how old are you, Rick, if you don't mind me asking?
35.
Okay, so you're 35 years old. If a 19-year-old salesman right out of high school doesn't set himself up as a professional, and you're visiting his dealership or a furniture store, and he starts telling you stuff to do, hey, you need to sit down, but he hasn't established anything, and he's only 19, what is your initial reaction going to be as a human being?
Hey, no, who the hell are you? Like, automatic. Automatic.
Oh man.
Especially being a New Yorker too, it's just like, no, like, why am I sitting down to talk to you, especially if he hasn't established himself as professional. He just comes in and has your typical 19-year-old attitude or something like that. Me being 35, I'm just gonna look at him like,
okay. So now think about the 50-year-old guy that visits your Nissan store. You're 15 years younger than him. Has way more life experience than you. He probably has $500,000 in liquid assets, right? And then he's going to take commands from a 35-year-old Rick that hasn't established himself as the big dog at the dealership. And without being an alpha, you don't want to ever sound like the alpha, like, oh, this is what we're going to do. That's not what I mean. I mean building enough value to where you don't have to be like that. The real alphas can say it without saying it. Yeah. Right. So when you establish yourself as, oh, Rick is the top dog around here, he's amazing, yeah, this is the guy, that 50-year-old's going to listen to you and follow your commands. So if that 19-year-old salesman that you first think is a punk tells you, hey, I'm pretty new here, this is my first week at the furniture store, and I'm just doing what I was told, and my boss said, hey, when these customers come in, make sure you show them all the couches, because you don't want them to pick one out and it's the wrong one. So you just got to bear with me while I do my job. Now, if the 19-year-old told you that, Rick, would you be more inclined to listen to him?
Yeah, it'd be a little bit more like sympathetic towards him. Like, oh, okay, he's new, he doesn't know around. Let me humor him at the very least for a little bit, or at the very least, let's hear him out and see what he says.
Yeah. So now you gave him an opportunity, right? So because he said enough to where he earned Rick's opportunity to look at some furniture. And now he's opened a little like wedge into your heart, and now he can start working on it and chipping on it and start growing that. And then 30 minutes into the process, he's got you laying on a bed, right, under some blankets, because he's that good of a salesman. Okay. So but you started listening to those commands because he started building that value up in himself. So you already know the right tracks to commanding the customer, controlling the customer. You just have to think of creative ways to get them to listen to you and listen to your commands. And the first one we've established already in this episode, this video, is you got to put yourself at that professional level to where they're like, okay, I'm with the right guy. Because at that point, you can tell them to do anything and they're going to do it. Have you ever tried getting a customer in the trunk of a car yet?
No. I didn't. I got inside one and they were just like, oh, wow, there's a lot of space back here. Yeah. How tall are you? Well, I'm 6'1". He's like, oh, wow, there is a lot of space down here.
So you've done things like that, like a salesman, right? But try to get a customer in a trunk, right? You're not grandma, of course, and not, someone that's in a suit, but if they got kids, say, hey, I want to, after you've established the relationship and the confidence level with them, they'll do anything you ask them to, not to humiliate them, but show them, hey, is your son over here? Hey, come on over here. I want to show you guys something. Jump in the trunk. And if you built that level, they're going to get right in. You can really do anything. Get in the back of this truck bed. Let's climb up here with the tailgate step, and I want to show you some of the stuff that's in this bed. And they get up and climb into the bed. That's controlling the customer. Okay. You can't say that when you first meet and greet them because you haven't built that yet. You haven't built that level yet. So can you see how the pathway goes to building that confidence in you and the customer, the professional level, that they see you as not a car salesman, they see you as a professional.
Yeah.
And then the next step is they'll listen to anything you tell them.
Mm-hmm. There's been moments where like I've earned just their respect just based on how I treat their children. Like the kids end up liking me, and they're just like, "Oh, I love this car," and just like, yeah, and I'll start talking because I'm pretty good with kids. So I'll shift my attention to them, and then the mom is just like, "Oh, you're really good." It's like then they end up either like listening to what I'm saying, or they end up like purchasing at the end of the day, just
Yeah.
based on the kids.
And that shows you how important rapport is. Rapport, remember, if you look at a percentage of a car deal, 100%, this is 100%. 80% of it, this whole giant chunk of this whole car deal is how much they like you. The 80%. 20% is the actual car. Because how many times have you sold somebody just because they liked you? Man, we were at the other dealership and they had a cool truck, a good price, but man, we didn't like that guy. So they based not buying the right truck and the right price on the sales guy, and that's why they left. So you must be good at building rapport if you're getting compliments from customers. So think about there. Here's the 100%. My whole screen is the car deal. This much of it is how much they like you, trust you, like the dealership, trust the dealership, rapport. Okay. That 20% is the actual car and the numbers. The more work you do outside, the easier it is closing the deal on the inside. Spend more time outside, spend more product building outside, presentation outside, do more outside. And then when you come inside, it'll be much easier to close your deal. Okay. So that kind of takes care of taking control of the customers. Do you have any comments or questions on that?
No, I mean, like since your last podcast, like I mentioned, I have learned how to like be a little bit more in control of my customers. Sorry. Here.
Hello there, mama. Hi. Hey,
Yeah,
the
but we
car. Go ahead.
have,
Go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I've learned I've since the last podcast I have learned of be more worth following, basically to like learn how to be a professional. Because at the end of the day, like I've only been doing this for 6 months, and my product knowledge is it's coming along with what I'm doing. So like I know most of the trucks or cars that I have out there, like I know like by heart because I've driven them also like myself like a couple of times, a handful of times. So I believe that to be that sales guy, to be that professional, it call comes down to like product knowledge. Because look, the more that you know about the car or what your inventory is, like the easier it becomes at the end of the day.
Yep, we're going to talk about that too because you wanted to talk about how does a newbie sell a car every day. We're going to do that subject last though. So let's get into the second thing you talked about, and that was Middle Eastern customers. Okay, so there's people from around the world that are in the USA. Okay, and our job as salespeople is to figure out each path to every sale. So the way I sell you, if Rick came onto my dealership and was looking at an Alfa Romeo or a Maserati, I have to find the unique path for Rick to buy the car. And if another customer comes in right after Rick and I try to use the path I used to Rick to close them and sell that car, would it work?
I don't think so.
No, everyone's different, right? We all look different. We all sound different. We all smell different. We all have different social security numbers. We are different people. So when you are helping different people, you have to find different ways to close them. And Middle Eastern people, you have to go back and figure out why they are the way they are and why they're tougher to close. Can we agree that they're pretty tough to close?
They're very tough to close, incredibly
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
And even prior to car sales in general, like I would think, because I did over the phone sales, and when I got them, it was almost like it's always a be back. It's always I have to call them back, or it's always I have to think about it. It's always the same thing. And then I would think that face to face sales would be a little bit more because I'm a very genuine person. I could portray the person could sense when they know that I'm trustworthy. Even doing it face to face is kind of like, oh well, we'll think about it or whatever the case may be. I have yet to close one yet too. So like, and I've had a handful of them come in. That's why I text you that question. And like, even my bosses would tell me, he's like, hey, these are the toughest ones to close. Like you have to come up with a different way, a different avenue how to get them, because they're just programmed, I guess. And I don't mean to sound like, stereotypical or anything like that, but most of them are programmed to like, not border. What's the word I'm looking for? To negotiate with you a lot of the time. Like, it's just like, oh, I'll give you such and such for it. It's just like, hey, listen, I don't control the pricing of the car. I can't, I can't just be like, oh, sure, no problem. Like, I'll knock out $7,000 off the car. Like, it doesn't work. Yeah, so like things like that is when I was having a hard time. And then like the last couple of times that I've had a military customer, like my boss, he's not surprised that I close it because I'm also a newbie, but he's like, listen, man, the day you close them is the day that you're a real good sales guy. He's like, because it's very tough to get to them, and I now know why.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that right now. So I got a story back when I was probably 13 years in the car business at this time, maybe 14. So this is 7-8 years ago. And we had a Middle Eastern gentleman in the dealership with his family looking at a brand new Ford. I worked at a Ford store back then in Bakersfield, California. And it wasn't my customer. I was turned to this customer because they were the salesman that was helping them was fighting with the guy in the office. Literally, they were like yelling back and forth. Okay. But the difference was when the manager came out and said, Kyle, I need you to go take over this car deal and help the salesman, help the customer. Okay. So they're just going to toe in there. I'm like, okay, no problem. So the manager went in there, got the salesman out. Here's the difference. Okay. They were both scream yelling at each other. The salesman was heated, sweaty. He looked like he was ready to go to blows, right? Trade blows. So then I go in the office. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. I sit down and the customer, the Middle Eastern dude, is just like, well, hi, who are you? So it told me right then and there, that's normal for him. The salesman was all heated and melted down, but the Middle Eastern guy, it wasn't yelling when I went in there. I realized that they were just loud talking, right? They just happened to be kind of by the showroom. It wasn't physical yelling like, it was just high level negotiating, real loud. And I went in there and realized these Middle Eastern people, this is just their normal routine when they negotiate. And we take it as salesmen as insults, and we take it in as oh man, these guys are so hard to deal with because of the way they do stuff. We take it how they aren't actually putting it out. Because if you look at a lot of these cultures around the world, these people are fighting to just get food when they're young. Like, they're not fighting to get Nike shoes. These people grew up fighting to get food on their table. And so everything they did to eat that day was they had to negotiate, man. They started the day off with something that was almost worthless. And then at the end of the day, they had a meal for their family. So if you start sympathizing with how they grew up and where their culture is from and how tough they had it growing up, then it makes the negotiating part a little bit easier, because you don't get emotionally involved with what they're doing. You won't get heated. You won't get beaten down. You can kind of box it into this is just how they negotiate. I don't need to take it personally, because I've taken it personally with the Middle Eastern guys, because in California, they're all over. Teach their own, man. They earn the right. So I used to take it personally and get all hot and bothered. I don't want to sell them a car. Get them out of here. In my head,
Yeah.
Can't necessarily say that, but then as I got better and more in the car business and more experience, I realized I just box in this little thing we call negotiation with these guys and not get emotionally involved, because what they're watching is your emotional cues when they say these things. Take 7,000 off. He knows he's not getting $7,000. What he's doing is seeing if there's any chinks in your armor to maybe he can get the $7,000 off. He knows it's not there, right? How many times does a Nissan Altima have $7,000 of profit in it? Guess what? They've owned 30 in their family. They already know that there's not $7,000. But if you can throw a crazy number out there and see some chinks in your armor, like, well, we don't got 7, but we might be able to do 4. Well, go talk to your manager, right? You notice they say that a lot. Go ask your manager.
Yeah, go talk to them. See, you can make something happen for us. You can do that. Come on, man. You can make something happen. It's like, hey, listen, it's not there.
Yeah.
part of the market, man. What do you want us to do? Oh, okay, well, if that's the case, then I'll just call back. I'll come back some other time when we have more rebates or when we have a deal going on or something like that. It's always something along the lines of that.
Yeah. So part of their negotiation is they throw out a crazy number because they want to see if there's chinks in your armor. That is your moment to show no chinks in your armor, no dents and dings, man, that you're a professional. And you have to actually stand your ground with these guys. Okay. And you do that by saying, no, I'm not going to go talk to my manager about that. I already know that I don't have 7,000. I'm not going to even, yeah, I'm not going to even go in there. When
He
you're
doesn't.
ready to, when
He's
you're,
I'm sorry to cut you off. He just says that the second that I was done with him, he's like, you have to be the master of the word no with them. You have to be to stand your ground and say no. They asked for this off. No, I'm not going in there to talk to the bosses to look like an idiot. I know that as the professional, I know that there's no $7,000 to take off the car. We know that. The first thing they bring into our head is just like, no, cars are our market value. Anybody asks for a discount, it's a no. It's a no.
okay. So now here's the trick to these guys. Okay. Is when they would tell me that, go tell your boss 7,000, and I would stand my ground. I would tell them, no, I'm not going to go in there. I'm sorry. It's just, I know there's not that money in it. We never had that kind of money in it. You know, there's not that kind of money in it, right? You've bought how many of these cars? You've owned 20 Altimas or whatever you're driving. You know, there's not 7,000 in it. What's the real number? And you got to do this back and forth thing for their fulfillment. Because that's what they're used to, is negotiating back and forth. So you have to play the game a little bit. That doesn't mean go back and forth to your manager, but you need to do this back and forth because they need that to feel like they're winning. Yeah. And then when they get a little bit closer to reality, right, you're not going to let them blow out of your office, right? Because there is a car deal there. What you're going to do is say, I need a real number from you. I'm not going in there with 7,000 off. I'm sorry. I know better. And you know better. And then you say, I need a real number from you, something that you're going to say, hey, I'll buy the car right now if you can do this. It's not 7,000 off. I'm sorry. And I'll sit here and we'll figure this out. And you guys do this little back and forth. Okay, 6,000, 500, right? 5,500. It's going to take time. It doesn't go that fast, obviously. You're going to have to talk. She's going to look at his wife. We're going to leave then. No, you're not going anywhere. Bear with me. I'm trying to figure something out. You came to me for help. I'm going to help you, but you have to be realistic. If you want me to be realistic, you need to be realistic. And you do the back and forth thing. And then you say, okay, hold up. If he truly starts getting up, let me go talk to my manager now, because now you're being reasonable with me. Even if it's not reasonable, you still got to go touch the desk, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to go into the desk and tell them exactly what happened, because the more information the desk has, the better they can help you. Okay. And you're not going to give them your best price right out the first pencil or the second pencil. Okay. And the increments you need to do, if you do have to give a discount or do show some rebate money that maybe you're sandbagging, is you're going to give them 250 or you're going to give them 100. And because they're going to want this giant discount and you're barely moving here, then that needle starts kind of getting closer and closer until you can find that middle ground. But they need to feel, for that person to buy the Middle Eastern guy, they have to feel like they won. You're not going to sell them if you think you're winning, they're not buying. If you feel beaten up, sweaty, and tired, but they feel like they won, they're probably going to buy the car. Okay. Yes, they are a tougher customer, but you have to understand where they come from and why they negotiate like that. They were negotiating like that to live. So it's ingrained in their DNA, and to each their own. I actually complimented the guy that was in that salesman's office. I'm like, man, I like people like you. What? He's never heard that before from a car salesman. I go, iron sharpens iron. The tougher you're on me, the better I'm going to get. By the end of this process, I'm going to be closing you on 3 cars, right? And we start laughing because now I complimented him, which he's never got from a salesman before. And now he's starting to see me a little bit more as a human being, not just a salesman robot. Okay, so you can compliment these guys. I got a couple things I wrote down. Compliment them, stand your ground, and learn from them. They are master negotiators, because most of the time they get what they want or get darn close to it. and they have the ability to walk away from a deal. That's the number one enemy to a car salesman, is a customer that's willing to walk away from any deal that's not theirs, right? That's a tough one to close because they don't actually need a car right now. They'd like to have a new car, but their car's fine. Well, our car's fine. We'll wait for the right deal. Isn't that a hard one to close?
Yeah, and I mean, like in situations like that, like how would you control them? Like there's no wiggle when there's no wiggle room in the price. When there's just after going that back and forth, like I'm not gonna go back to my boss and I'm not gonna tell him to knock this down because it's just not there. It's not gonna happen. Oh well, we'll come back at some other times. In that moment, when you feel like you've lost control of this guy and he's about to get up and he's about to walk out of here, how can I? Hey, hold on, sit back down. Let me talk to this guy. Like, what am I gonna say to the boss at this point? At this time, there's nothing for me to like. I'm not gonna. I know me. Rick knows that I'm not gonna. There's no wiggle room in the price. It isn't gonna happen. No matter what number he throws at me, it isn't gonna happen. So how do I keep him in my seat? How do I keep him still interested in this deal? How do I keep him from getting up and just walking out?
Yeah. So this goes back to the build up to this desk. In some of my episodes, I talk about if you wait to get to the desk to close a deal, it's too late. Now it's all about the dollar. So what a lot of people make a mistake on the Middle Eastern or some of these other people from different countries that negotiate tough is they let that customer dictate from the moment they came in how the sale's going to go. So when the guy came in, I don't need a test drive. I've already had 3 of them. And we say, okay, right? And we don't build value and we don't do all those things leading up to that point, because what can sell a car to these guys when you have no more money, when the manager says, literally, I cannot do another penny, what gets you over that hump is how much they like you and how much they're going to be okay with spending a little bit more, because you're going to ask them, hey, I did everything right on this car lot with you. I've shown you the car. Don't you see any value in that? Or is it just dollars only? Because I have a feeling that if you worked really hard and someone asked you to do some work around their business or something, and then they said, you know what, I'm not going to pay you, how would you feel? And what you're trying to do is humanize the scenario, not just make it a business transaction. But that doesn't work unless you've done those things before. So when the Middle Eastern guy comes in, don't let him dictate anything. I can't work numbers unless you drive the car. I already have one. I know how it drives. I'm sorry. I cannot work numbers. My boss will crucify me in there. I just can't. All right, let's go drive it. Then he builds a little emotional value in the car. Okay, so those steps of the sale, you cannot skip with the Middle Eastern guy. They'll want you to go right to the numbers because they already know the car. They know they have one, right? So do you notice they want to skip steps when you help them?
Yeah, they start like, oh well, how much for that? How much for this? Oh no, just out the door. How much for that? It's just like, well, it's a little bit more to this. I can't just blurt out a price and that's it. And like we're right on it. Like no, like let's and that's where I'm a little rusty on. Like when I hear it, and it's not just Middle Eastern folk. It's a few people, even aggressive folk. Like they'll come on, hey, how much for that? Oh, that's going for such and such. Okay, like what about this and this? Like what about warranty? What about this? It's like, oh wait, like even like I said, now when I'm out there a lot and I'm talking to a customer, sometimes I'm blurting out this information subconsciously. There's just not thinking about like, oh, I'm already giving him what he wants.
Right.
I withhold some information here and like make him like, hey, hold on, all right, listen, like I know you're interested in this car. Let's go inside. Let me get you some more information and see if this car actually works for you. Otherwise, we have something else that actually might work. It might not actually work in your favor. You want to go inside? And that's how I'm slowly starting to build. But occasionally, especially when I'm caught with my pants down, or like I'm doing a lot walk, and the customer's there early in the morning before we're even opening. I'm like, oh wait, hold on. Oh, he's asking me for price. Oh, it's like his customer. Like, hold on. I have to mentally. All right, hold on.
Yeah, get your zen.
And again, hold on. All right, and then like let me put the mask on, because in the morning when I'm doing a lot walk, I'm just checking out the inventory that's there. I'm not expecting a customer, but it has happened in the past. Perfect.
Yeah. So you made a good point, because it's not just Middle Eastern. There's a lot of good negotiators out there, right? They just happen to be every single one of them meets a tough negotiator. But any negotiating, you have to present yourself as the professional. no matter what, from the very beginning, even the way you greet the customer, because customers that think of you at their level or even higher will be okay with spending a little bit more money because you've built rapport. They absolutely love you. You've done everything right. You haven't shortcutted. They want you to shortcut, but really they don't. They need somebody to show them all the features of the car and do a proper walk around. Yeah, even if they say we know the car, no, you don't. I do hours of online certification and I still don't know the car. How in the world do you know the car, right? You can think, but that's reality. They don't know the car even when they say it. So you have to slow them down and say, if they let's go work the numbers. I can't work the numbers. I have to make sure that this is the right car for you. Oh, I already know this car. Do you? Let me just go over a few new things that they've updated. And that's when you use your product experience and product knowledge to show them new things that they didn't know, and then start building the friend. Because when you come into the office to work the numbers, everything's that much easier. But there's no, and I've preached this for years. There's no magic close. Okay, when you're in the desk with a customer, there is no magic close, that a sentence that you can say that closes the deal. That's part of the no trick close that I use on my other episode. But there really isn't. And so those people are unique characters that you have to find that path with. And you have to really listen to what they're saying in their buying cues and their hot buttons. What got them excited? How long have they been looking for a car? What's their experience with Nissan, the brand? Have they owned one before? What have they owned in the past? All these things culminate, build up to that close at the desk. And one of my guys recently sold a truck, a used Ram, that was $10,000 more with more miles. It had a few new features. Why would a customer spend $10,000 more on something that has more miles but a few more features? Because they liked the sales guy. His name's Andrew. He's just so lovable. But customers will buy and they'll spend way more, because they have way more, on a guy that they have fallen in love with. Right?
Yeah.
You think you could convince a woman to stay with you for the rest of her natural life unless she loved you? Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. But she fell in love with you, right? You couldn't. Yeah. But do you think if you met her at wherever you met her and you said a trick close, you would have closed that deal and she would have said yes to your hand in marriage?
Yeah, no.
No, it was a buildup, right? A buildup. And then you asked her to marry you and she said yes, because you built so much value in yourself, your work ethic, you're good looking, you hard worker, you love kids. All these things added up to her saying, yeah, I'm going to marry this man. What's the difference in a car sale? There is no difference. But if you just ask the customer to marry you or just to buy the car at the desk, you're not going to get the yes. It's that whole process. Okay. Think about you, right? You met a stranger online, me, I'm the stranger. You paid the stranger without ever meeting him in real life, right? Over a few messages. How did that happen? It's because you saw my content. You've listened to my podcast. You've seen so much value in what you're getting from Kyle that you literally wired money across the US without ever meeting me. That sounds like a scam to me, right? But it's not, because you saw the value. It's no different than extracting money from a customer at the desk. It's the buildup. The important part is the buildup. So when you're closing Middle Eastern people or tough people, you can't close them on the car lot. If they ask what's the out the door, if you spit out a number, you're done. You got nothing. Okay, can you buy a car in the front line at 8 a.m. when you're walking the lot? No, you got to go through that process, right? And so if you have to go through the process, regardless, product presentation, a test drive, building value, why not give it every ounce of energy and power you got? Because if you do those things, when you get to the desk with that Middle Eastern, now you can joke around with them. Hey, if we make this deal, you better invite me over for dinner. Man, you have been the toughest customer, but iron sharpens iron. Right? And you start saying it and they're laughing. Yeah, I am a tough negotiator. And they start feeling good about themselves. If you try that next time, compliment the Middle Eastern guy on how good he is, and you watch his body melt, because not one salesman in the last 20 years has told him that. Try it next time. Or with a tough negotiator. I say that iron sharpens iron so much, and the customer, this is the first thing they do at the desk. Yeah. They're just like, wow, the sales manager said I'm a good negotiator. All right, what's next? What do we got to do? It's a payment thing or what? Like because you
won everything. Make them feel like they won. In reality, it's like you're buying the car. So, hey, man, like we both win. You felt good. I feel good. That's great.
Yeah, you win by taking their money. That's winning the war. You can let them win the battles and the skirmishes, right? Oh, they got a little bit more money off. Oh, they got free floor mats. Those are little battles, little skirmishes that they won throughout the process. But you won the war in the fact that you just put them in debt for 84 months. they get to think about Rick every month for the next 84 months, right? So the negotiating part, remember the marriage thing, right? Your wife, what did it take to get her to say yes to your marriage? It wasn't you saw her at first sight and you gave her a ring and she said yes. It was the build up to that final close. Okay, so remember that with those Middle Eastern guys. Do you have any questions on that part, or did I not cover something?
No, it's pretty. That's the marriage thing is the one thing that really came out with that. I definitely like that analogy a lot. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and no matter what,
work with everybody. It'll work with anybody. Like I said, not just Middle Eastern, just anybody that's a tough negotiator in general.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep, exactly. I've come to actually like the tougher negotiators. Up here in the Pacific Northwest, we have a more Russian community, and it's no different. That they're just people trying to make sure they don't get ripped off. I'm okay with that, and you can tell them that too. Once you learn to talk with them, like, hey, I get you don't want to get ripped off. Neither do I. You're just looking for the best deal possible. I can appreciate that. First and foremost, thanks for even coming in and giving me the opportunity, right? And saying things like that lowers that little shield that they got. Actually, sometimes they're big shields, but stand your ground, compliment them, learn from them, and remember what their background, remember where they're from, and give them some sympathy of how they actually really grew up. I thought I was poor growing up until I heard some stories of these people that came from other countries. I'm like, wow, I look like a millionaire when I grew up with one pair of pants. They had no pants. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, I get where you're coming from. Now I know why you're so darn tough. You're tough. So yeah. What's that?
They had to fight for everything that they had.
Exactly. So do you feel a little more sympathy towards them and like, okay, I get where they're coming from?
Yeah. No, that's one of the things that like also one of my coworkers I told is like you have to understand same thing that you were saying just now, just like, oh yeah, they came from nothing and they back in their country, that's what they do. You go to markets, not everything has a price on it. So everything is just like, oh, I'll give you such and such for such and such for that. So they come here and they think that it's kind of like the same. You have to make them feel like it's like that, like it's back home.
Yep. That's it. Yeah, they just got to feel like they're winning and, teach their own. All right. So let's see, what else are we talking about? We're talking about selling a car every day as a newbie. Okay. So one of the things when I was new, it's been so long since I was new, but I can remember every day pretty clearly, is all I did when I was new was I relied on ups because my sales manager at the time, sales managers, they were untalented guys that just knew the owner and somehow got to the sales desk. And these were the guys I had to call my bosses. I respected the position, right? I respected that they were sales managers, but they did nothing really to earn my respect as human beings. So when I came to work, I respected that position, never talked back, did what I was told. I was a little grinder out there, but they only told me how to take ups. They didn't tell me all the other things that a car salesman can do that I had to find out down the road because I was making small paychecks. So first and foremost, and you know this, is the huddle. How much does that huddle pay?
$0.00.
Yep. So as a new guy, you got to avoid the huddle at all times because the huddle will, 1 second of you not focusing on the lot, another salesman's grabbing a customer. It's how it happens. So anytime there's a huddle, you have to look at the huddle as not, it's a negative balance area to be in. It's going down. You're not making any money. You're losing money by being in the huddle. So first and foremost, you got to be a lone wolf. Okay. And wolves travel up to 40 miles a day in search of food, in search of prey. They can't eat plants. Okay. So when you're at work, you got to think of a lone wolf. What does a lone wolf do all day? He wanders. He's looking. He's trying to get creative of, okay, I thought I smelled something over here, right? So what's a lone wolf do on the floor if he wants to sell a car every day? He's walking the service department, he's walking the body shop, he's walking detail, he's walking the used car side, he's walking the new car side, he's wandering. Because if you're expecting someone to come to you at the showroom, right, it's probably too late. Someone already grabbed him from the side over here. Okay. But if you can catch them on the lot driving through, and you get on their driver's side of the car and wave them down, that's how a wolf is doing it, right? They're out hunting. So first and foremost, stay out of the huddle as a newbie, because it's only going to lose you money, and it's going to create bad habits. Now, if you've already got kind of a little huddle group because you build relationship at the dealership, it's going to be hard to break up with them. It really is, because they're going to slowly gravitate towards you when you're on the lot. You're going to walk over here and watch a lot, and then these people are going to, these sales guys, they don't even realize, but you got a gravity around you. The most successful people have a gravity around them. Okay. So if you're out trying to be successful, you turn around, look, where'd you guys come from? Right? Because they need someone to talk to. So you just got to always be on the move. Okay. A rolling stone gathers no moss, right? If it's rolling, it can't get mossy. It stays clean. So you just got to keep moving. Another thing to sell a car every day, which my sales manager didn't tell me, that you need to wander. Oh, you can sell a car in the service department? What? I didn't know that. You just told me to stand in front of the showroom and wait for a customer to show up, right? And we didn't get an up today. But 40 customers went through service today, and 3 of them had junkers that were about to break down. There's some opportunity there. I didn't learn that back then. Okay. So stuff like that. Do you work your service drive at all?
No, not at all. No, until you just mentioned it right now. Like occasionally, my boss hands me like somebody that might be in service that's bringing in their car for service, and he's like, "Oh, hey, look, we have this customer she's in a 17 Rogue. I like, see if she's in service right now. Maybe we could get her into this 2020 Rogue, and her payment stayed the same. Like, go talk to her. He'll hand me like the papers." But most of the time, though, the small amount of times that he's done that, like, it's been without luck. Either the person isn't there, or for the most part, the person isn't there. It's just they just pulled it.
Do you feel super uncomfortable when he gives you that?
Not necessarily. I don't feel uncomfortable because I look at it as an opportunity. I look at everything as an opportunity. But it's kind of like, when he first gave it to me, I was just like, "Well, so what is this again?" And he's just like, "Oh no, this customer is in service right now. She's in a 17 whatever. See if we get her over on this side, and see if we could talk to her about maybe putting into a different car, because the payments would come up to roughly around the same." So the first time it happened, I went over to service. I did what he told me to do. She wasn't there. Second time, same thing, wasn't there. So it's never worked out in my case. But like, to go willingly over there without the boss telling me to, something like that, and talk to somebody about their car in particular, no, I've never really done that. No.
Yeah. So that's a very unique opportunity you have at your dealership, because I guarantee you there's not many salesmen taking advantage of that opportunity with getting those sheets. Do those sheets have phone numbers on them at all?
Yeah, they do.
Okay. So that sheet, I would go log it in my system. I would call them, text them, I would email them, everything you can, and say, "Hey, I'm Rick over here at the Nissan store. I saw that you're in for service, and I want to make sure you got taken care of 100% in service. I'm also part of the team that gets people into new vehicles." Okay. And you need to word it like, "Hey, I'm checking on you. How was your service?" Or even when you call, I'm checking on you. I want to make sure everything was excellent, but I'm also part of the team that gets people into new vehicles. And usually we get them into their new vehicle at the same payment or something very similar. That's the hook. Okay. In a song, the hook is what gets you to listen to the song again, right? It's the catchy part.
Yeah.
So when you're calling somebody and saying, "Yeah, I'm thinking we could probably get you into a same payment or similar payment," there's the hook. Well, what do you mean? Well, I don't have a payment. I paid it off. Well, excellent. Then you have a mountain of equity for the next vehicle. We are dying to get trade-ins, okay? And all you're doing is trying to get the hook out there and see who bites on it. You're not going to sell every service customer, but if your manager is getting a bunch of these a day and you're the only one taking them, there's your ups for the week. I mean, you probably got 30 or 40 service customers that you can make contact with. So work in the service drive, that is your starting point to work in it. Now, I didn't have those papers given to me. I would just walk around the service drive and say, hey, I saw you brought your car in for service. My name's Kyle. I'm a new salesman up here. If you ever want to look at a new vehicle, please ask for me. I'm trying to get, whatever you got to say. And every once in a while, you're going to get a customer saying, well, what programs do you have right now? You're going to get someone that's interested, and then you grab onto that and you take them up front and you try to sell them a car. It's simply a numbers game. The more ups and more people you talk to, the more cars you sell. The less people you talk to, the less cars you sell. So if you're going into work every day, talk to as many people as you can. It doesn't matter where you're getting them, because your odds of selling go up the more customers you talk to. So include the service drive every day. Does your dealership have a body shop or oil change area or something different?
Yeah, they have all of that.
So there you go. There's even more opportunity. That place sounds like it's busy. So for a new guy, take every up, stay out of the huddle, and work all angles of your dealership. The other thing is your Instagram, right? I looked at your Instagram. You have 3 posts on there.
Yeah, no, I don't. I have another Instagram with my personal.
Okay.
Before we jump into that, one question I did wanted to ask you about the TikTok customers as possible is what about closing rate in situations like that? Like, yeah, the more customers you talk to, the more opportunities you get to actually close the sale. And so one of my things that on the last report, my closing rate was a little bit down in comparison to the people that are sitting where I'm sitting, which my boss calls it park place because it's in the front where all the customers are. So my closing rate was down. He tells me, he's like, oh, well, like people sitting here have to be at least 50-60% close rate. He's like, you're below that. He's like, so you got to work on that. And that was one of the things that I did at that time. I think my closing rate is better now because I have gotten a little better at closing. But prior to that, it was really low. And I use that method of talking to as many customers or as many appointments as I possibly can. Closed a handful of them, but my closing rate was low. So
Yeah.
Like, how can I remedy that aside from just being a better sales guy?
Yeah. So some dealerships will look at like analytics. Okay. They'll look at how many people you talk to and how many did you close. So this is where you got to talk to your manager about some grace. Like, I'm working the service drive. These people aren't here to buy cars. These people are here to get service done. So when I log them in my system, my ratio might go down, but you have to understand what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to increase how many sales. And if you make it, if a sales manager makes it only about the closing ratio, then salesmen are just going to log less people because they're scared of getting hammered by the sales manager. So that's a conversation you might want to have with your sales manager and tell him what you're trying to do. So if he sees a bunch of customers logged and your ratio's down, he needs to know what you're doing. Okay. Because you're trying to make more sales, whether the closing ratio is 50, 40, 30, but you sold 20 cars that month. Does that ratio matter anymore? No, man, you sold 20 cars. Your check is $15,000, right? So the closing ratio will get better the more quality you spend with the customer. There's, like I was saying, there's no magic close at the end. So that's up to you on how you do the whole process leading up to the close and getting the customers into that desk so you can actually close them. But the analytics side of it can deter salesmen from doing extra things because they don't want to show a bad closing ratio. So that's something I would say, talk to your manager about. Is that a fear that you have possibly?
Yeah, it's like not necessarily a fear in particular, but it's one of those, like, how important is it? Like, is yield really, like in my prior job, when I was doing telemarketing, yield was an important thing. It determined everything, literally, like how much I made on a paycheck. Here in car sales, it doesn't seem like it's important. Like, yield doesn't seem like it's important. Like, you sold a car, you sold a car. You sold 10 cars, you sold 10 cars. You sold 15, you make money. But to get to that that number, that 15 cars or 20 cars, I understand you have to talk to a lot of folk. Like, how important is to a manager the closing yield? That's what I'd like to know, like, because that's one of the things he harped on me was that he's like, closing rate is really low. Okay, so what does that mean to you, I guess?
Right. So when my guys, I don't necessarily look at closing ratios to what they've logged. That's not something that I put value in, is their closing ratio. I put value in how much money they're making for the month and how many cars they sell, because every salesman is different. I have a sales guy that can talk to 3 people and sell 1. So what is that? A 66% closing ratio? When I was on the floor, it took me 4 or 5 customers to sell a car. So what is that? 20 to 25%? That's not the greatest. But how was I making 15 grand a month? It's because I knew what it took for me to sell a car that day. It took me 5 ups. I didn't care what my closing ratio was. I have to talk to 5 people because one of them is going to buy a car from me. So personally, I'm not worried too much about my sales guys closing ratio, because I know they can follow up with these people, and that might be a sale in 3 weeks. It might be a sale in 2 weeks. It might be a sale tomorrow. But I don't know how your sales managers are and how your store runs. If that's a very important thing, then I would have the conversation with your sales manager and tell them what you're trying to do. I'm going to be logging a bunch of people, but it's because I'm trying to work the service drive. And is that how it works? If you log them, that's how they do the percentage of closes, or how do they know your closing percentage?
Yeah, you have to log them in. So if a customer comes in, as what they've inbred it into me is, if they sit in your desk, log them in.
Okay.
Even to give me a price, like, appraise my car or something like that, even if they're not looking for a car. Like, they just want an appraisal on the car. Like, actually, that worked in my benefit on Saturday, because the customer came in and they were just looking to appraise their car. They weren't looking for a new car in general. So then, after digging a little bit, like building a little bit of rapport with this customer, like, I managed to detect, I logged her in, like, even before logging her in, even just introducing myself and talking to her and asking her, what are you looking to do? Like, one of the things my bosses told me is to make it general. One of the openings is like, what are you looking to accomplish today? That phrase, like, what are you looking to accomplish today, gets the customer to open up and tell me exactly. So once they open up, now I have arsenal, I have ammunition. Like, okay, so you just want an appraisal. So what is any particular reason why you want to give this car away? It's a 2022 Tacoma. Like, oh, well, payments are high. Aha, well, now I got it. Like, she's looking, like, payments are too high. Like, you need to get into a different car, don't you? He's like, I'm not looking to do anything today. At the end of the day on Saturday, turn it to a close, and I deliver it tomorrow.
Good job. Good
yeah,
job.
Like, I did that and that was, I can say, at the beginning there, like, naturally that happened, and like, it wasn't done out of a, I guess, the boss told me to do it type thing. It's kind of like, happened like organically at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that's that. I got that from that. But yeah, that's back. I forgot what I was my chain of thought. But that's where it used for. Yeah, that's where it came from.
Yeah, that's called intuition. You detected something there, and you asked the right questions and got them to open up. The more they talk, the more questions you ask, the more ammo you have to help them close a deal. So you did the right thing by asking that question. What do you want to accomplish? Right? That's the best question you can ask. If you would have asked, do you want to buy a car? She would have said what?
Like, why? She would have just like, no, not really.
Yeah. So you asked the right question.
Asking that direct question doesn't get you anywhere. For anybody that's watching, doesn't get you anywhere. Do you want to buy a car today? The answer is always no. Oh, maybe, or maybe, just maybe. I'm thinking about it. Maybe not today. Maybe the next day. What are you looking to accomplish today?
Yep.
Opens literally doors. I've used that ever since I heard my boss told me that, like, a couple of months back. I've used that, and that gets customers to really talk and really express what they actually here to do. Like I said, like, and back to you now, remember, logging in the customer. Yes, my boss has embedded into me. Anybody that sits in front of your desk for anything at all, even if it is an appraisal, you log them in.
So then they go off the closing ratio off of that. So I would just talk with your manager and tell them, I'm going to be logging these service people because I want to do follow up and see if I can get some deals out of it. But if it throws off my closing percentage, what do you want me to do instead? Do you want me to just write down their information, or do you want me to log them and let him give direction of what you need to do? But that is a place that you could get a lot of business, is that service drive. Okay. So we'll recap. No huddle, like a wolf. Okay. The lone wolf travels 40 miles a day to get food. Work the service drive. You got to promote yourself like crazy online. Online is where it's at, and not just pictures, it's video nowadays. People are so used to TikTok and these things and the reels and the stories that they're used to doing this now, and looking at a video, and you have to catch their attention in the first 2 seconds of that video. That is the span of how, if someone determines if they want to continue watching your video or not. You got 2-second window for them to continue watching or not. So when you're posting on Instagram and Facebook and all that, have something that grabs their attention right away. So that wasn't around when I started, but it's around now. So you have another tool that you can get a car deal every day. The thing also is the will and the drive. You have to go in you start at 8 on morning shifts.
9 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay, 9 o'clock. You have to go in with the thought process of, I'm going to sell a car today. I'm not doing nothing but selling a car, and I'm not leaving until my boss kicks me out of the dealership, because I got to get a car deal. And when you have that mentality, it helps with focus, because I mean, you're going to get hungry. Of course, you got to eat, recharge, but it keeps you focused on the day to avoid the distractions. Staring at your vouchers for 20 minutes, watching YouTube for 20 minutes, checking this for 20 minutes, because that eats away at precious time. Spend that whole shift grinding every day and go home exhausted to that beautiful wife of yours and your beautiful family, and tell them that you did everything I could as a newbie to sell a car today, and you probably will. There's a gentleman named Earl Witherspoon. He's at 30 cars this month. He just messaged me that I'm at 30. Okay, that's more than a car a day. And he doesn't have a trick close. It's just grinding every day. Grind. But imagine that paycheck, right? And he's done that a few times this year. So here's the thing about being new. Okay. I'm going to relate it to, have you ever boxed or did MMA or any kind of, okay, listen to this. Okay. If there's a guy that goes to the gym every day, and he's been going to the gym 10 years, and he hits the bag and he looks tough. He's got tattoos. He's got all the right things. And he tells you, yeah, I've been going to this gym for 10 years. Okay. What do you automatically think of that guy, that fighter?
Oh, he's experienced. He knows what he's doing.
He's going to kill you if you pick a fight, right?
Yeah.
But here's what happens. Just because a salesman's been at a dealership 10 years doesn't mean they have 10 years worth of experience. What happens to good salespeople or potential salesmen is they'll work at a dealership for about a year and get pretty good to get to their comfort zone of, yeah, I can live off this money. Okay. And all they do is repeat that 10 times. They repeat that same talent 10 times. So they've been at the car dealership 10 years, but they've only repeated 1 year's worth of experience, because they got to this level of talent, and they've just repeated it year after year. Okay.
Stagnant.
Yeah. So the guy in the gym, now think about this. He's been going to the gym for 10 years, but he's never sparred once. He's never actually sparred with another human being. He's hit the bag. He looks tough. He's got muscle. And then Rick comes in, and that's all he ever does is spar in the gym every day. He's been going to the gym for 6 months. He's in there sparring every day. So you guys are at the gym the same amount of time a day. You spar 6 months. He hits the bag every 6 months. Who's winning the fight?
Yeah, spars all the time.
Yes. So does it really matter how long you've been at a dealership? No. It matters how much you're training in the real life stuff. And the only way you get real life training is by helping everybody you can to level up your character, to level up your talent. When you go toe to toe with a customer every day, that's called sparring. When you do product knowledge and things on the lot by yourself, that's just training. That's product training. That's things like that. But if you want to get really good as a newbie, get in front of people. And I promise you, you'll start selling a car every day. You just got to get in front of people. And remember the gym mentality. That guy goes to the gym for 10 years, but he's only hit the heavy bag. I've been going to the gym 6 months and I spar every time. That is a warrior, the guy who's sparring versus the trainee guy. Yeah, I look good, but that's all I got. Okay. So don't repeat your first 6 months of success for the next 20 years. Keep growing, and you'll notice that you will start selling a car every day, because your mission, I'm not going home without selling a car. Don't worry about getting off at 5. Worry about selling a car in that time period. Okay, work your sales, not your shift. All right, we're going a little long, but I want to keep helping you. Okay, the other thing that you mentioned was confidence. Okay, just because you know the product doesn't mean you have to tell the customer everything you know, right? So I mentioned this in one of my other one-on-ones. How many bullets does it take to kill an elk or a bear if you hit them in the right spot?
Just the one
bullet. But why does a guy hunting carry a bunch of bullets if it only takes one? It's because he's got tools just in case he misses, right? So the more tools you can have as far as product knowledge, you don't need to use them. You just keep them. Okay. Keep all that product knowledge in your head, in your tool belt, but don't spurt it out. But having the more tools you have for a project, the more confidence you have in that project. Okay. There's nothing that someone can give you an objection that you can't overcome, because you have every tool in the belt. You have closing tools, you have product knowledge tools. But if you want to build real confidence, I need you to know your inventory and your product in and out, and you need to learn your competition's product. Because when the customer comes in, if I can tell you more about the Mercedes they looked at than the sales guy they went over there, because I know their product and I know mine, that's called confidence in myself. Yeah, where did you look at? Oh, you looked at the BMW M3? Let me tell you about their car. Let me tell you about my car. Then they're going to buy from you. So you're meeting probably enough customers to sell every day. You just need to get the quality up, and you do that by product knowledge, and that will help your confidence go up too. Start with product knowledge. The experience part will come. Don't force yourself to think I should be at this level already. Let it naturally come, but remember to spar every day. Okay.
Got it.
Let's see. We got that. Training the gym. I don't know what else you want to talk about. We got well, we're kind of went over about 5 minutes.
But I feel like I'm like still in tune. Like, any more? Is there anything more?
Yeah.
Just like I work with a bunch of guys. Like I said, to anybody that's listening, Kyle's the man. Like, I literally just like surfing like any podcast after like getting chewed out, because I was chewed out for a while for like being the new guy and the boss. Like I've done stuff that I don't do anymore. Like, one of the things, oh man, I chewed out a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I got chewed out once for customer for letting an up go or something, because at the time, like, oh, the customer's like, oh, I'm just searching. Okay, no problem, bye. Like, when I first, dude, did you get his information? Did you get his name? His number? No. He's like, no. He's like, yeah, no. That's money. That's like anybody that's walking in. That's how it got embedded in my head. It's like anybody that walks in, anybody that's sitting here, anybody that's looking at cars, as soon as you see them walking in, they're like tire kicking, whatever, you go up there and talk to them, even if they're just looking, make sure you grab their information. It doesn't, since then, just like, okay, hey, do you mind if I grab some information from you real quick? And you mentioned too in one of your podcasts, I forgot the word that you use. Hi, I'm Rick Pena, as opposed to just saying, hey, I'm Rick. Hey, I'm Rick Pena. They automatically give you your first and last name right off the bat.
It's called reciprocity. It's a magical word.
That was it. Yeah, reciprocity. I said that to one of the newer guys that are there too. He's just like, make sure you use your full name. That way you get their full name. Hey, I'm Rick Pena. What's your name? Oh, I'm Christian, whatever. He's just like, oh, he automatically did. He's like, you didn't even think about it, did you? He's like, oh no, because it was like, yeah, reciprocity. That was the word. Yep.
It works. Yeah. Reciprocity, I learned that word around 2008 or something, and I've never let it go. It defines when I meet and greet a customer. Hey, I'm Kyle Galaz from Lodi, California. That's where I was born and raised, right? They can't not say, well, I'm Christian Bale from Hollywood. They can't not say it. And if you hold, if when you shake your hand when you say that, and you don't let go until they finish, not a crushing grip, but hey, I'm Kyle Galaz from Lodi, California, and you hold their hand until they finish, they will finish that sentence. It's reciprocity is a special word. I'm glad you're listening to the podcast, and just so you know, I'm here for you, man. I want everyone in this in the car business to succeed, because you know your sales managers, they're probably awesome, and there's a reason why you're there. Your general managers is awesome, but remember, they're busy. And if you guys need help out there, or if Rick, you want to do this again, you just let me know. You can message me anytime. I'm truly here to help you from the bottom of my heart. This is not pretend. I'm here to help people. It's my destiny.
I got it. No, I'm with it 100%. There's other podcasts out there that just are not realistic at all. Like, just listen to a few of them, just like, this guy doesn't, like, he probably knows what he's talking about, but he's a little. When I found you, I was just like, oh, this guy like knows. I remember, I forgot which podcast it was that I picked up, and I remember it was like not controlling the customer. It was one of the last ones you did. I forgot, but it was. But I heard that when I was like, hey, sometimes like the customer might be like, how do you turn a looker into a buyer?
Oh yeah, that was my first episode.
Yeah, that one, like I heard that one. I was just saying, hey, this just happened to me, or what's it like? There's a like sometimes the customer's not here to buy. Like, don't give up on a sale. Don't give up just because the guy has either subpar credit. Don't give up. We have to grind these guys. Another thing that my boss put into me too, like, just because don't take yourself out of the sale just because you think that, oh, this guy, his credit score is, oh, whatever, he doesn't have any money. Don't take yourself out of it. You never know who actually has money. You never know where he might pull it from. He might have somebody that might co-sign for him. Like, it has happened. Exactly what you say has happened, and that's what got me. The boss gave me an earful because of that, because I was just like, I already checked out of this guy. So like, oh, this guy doesn't have any money. He's like, oh, and he looked at me. He goes like, oh, okay. Like, I'm like, oh, I came back to, I touched that with him. I was like, oh, so this guy, he's looking around for trucks. He's not really serious about buying. Like, he's looking for a discount. So what do you want me to do with him? And he just looks at me. He's just like, what do you want? What do you want? What do you mean? What do you want me to do with him? He's just like, yeah. And then I made a mistake. You want me to kick him out? And he's just like, well, if you kick him out, then you're gonna go with him. And I was just like, he's like, you want to go with him? And I was just like, no. And he's just like, you got to work them. You got to work them. He's like, doesn't matter what they're here to say. Does not matter what he's telling you. It's just noise. That's what you can say. It's just noise. It's just noise. Focus on what he's looking for. Hit those hot buttons on what the customer. Hit those hot buttons, because you never know what he's going to say. He's telling you one thing. Again, it's just noise. Doesn't mean anything. Just block it out and hear what he's like, his hot buttons are, and touch on that. That's it. Yep. And after that, I started looking for podcasts, found yours, and there was an episode that I had to do exactly with what you were talking about. And I was just like, and it's exactly what my boss was telling me. He was just like, and then I sent it back to him. I was just like, is this what you're talking about? And he was just like, absolutely. Like, this guy, like, who is this guy? And it was like, oh, he's the guy I found on Spotify that I'm listening to. He's like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. And now he's sending me stuff from you. Like, he's like sending, like, did you hear this one? Did you hear? That's how and that's how I kept going. I was just like, oh yeah, I heard that. And I've listened to everything. So the point, awesome. the last podcast, I was like, hey, where are you? Season 4 at this point? It was like, when is season 4 coming? I want more.
Yeah, I got to finish season 3. I do a lot, man. I work 260 hours a month, and I'm raising a family, and I do the podcast, I do videos, I do TikTok, but it's my passion. I absolutely am in love with the car business, and it didn't happen right away, but now I truly am in love with it, because like you said, not many places we can go to make big money, right?
Oh, I'm telling you, as a sales guy, I've done it. Like, I even said it earlier. Like, I've spoken to a couple of old buddies that I used to work at my old job. I was like, you still doing that? He's like, yeah, I'm still doing that. He's like, dude, just car sales. And the first thing that comes out of their mouth is just like, I don't know jack about cars. He's like, do you think I know anything about cars? I just know they have 4 wheels and they go. That's all I know. I don't know horsepower. I don't know any of that stuff. He's like, but you'll learn. I'm like, you'll learn it. Like, as you go in there and you start getting involved in it, like, in the perk also, you get to drive a whole bunch of nice cars, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Like, then you start realizing which car works best for you, like which car matches your personality. That's another extra perk. Aside from the money that you get to drive cars, you get to be around cool people too. Because I met like these guys now. Like at first it was a little like not shy, but I was kind of like, you know, let me fit in here. Like I hope I could fit in here. Like because I came from another dealership. The first dealership, I didn't really fit in that well. And then and then I went to this new one because it was closer to home. And then these guys are like, now I come in and I feel like I'm part of the team, I'm part of their family. Now they see me like they and before I was a little skeptical. I was like, oh man, like am I doing this wrong? And is this right for me? Like, but
It is.
I'm at 10 cars now, once and over. And I don't know what's a good thing, but like right now, like I already did my bill. I know what my commission check is looking like.
Yeah. Double digits. Always remember double digits. If you can sell 10, great. If you can sell 99, just get into the double digits every time, every month.
Yes, 100%. I come in there every time that I have to come into work, right before coming into work, and I'm always the first guy there. If I'm not the first guy, I'm always the second guy.
Nice.
But first thing, like when I'm in the car, while I'm in the car, I listen to you to get a little pumped up, and then I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, I'm gonna work. I'm gonna get 2 today. I'm gonna get 2 today, or I'm gonna at least get 1. I'm gonna at least get 1. Who do I have to speak to today? Oh, did I speak to this person? I'm gonna see if I can get this person to come in today, and then I'm gonna see if I can take it up. Like, oh, I'm working bell to bell. I'm definitely getting 1. I'm at least getting 1 today. So that's always where my mentality is. And like, yeah, you have to keep that flow going in your head. You have to like stay in it. Like if you come in it and you're just like stagnant. Oh, I sold 7 cars today. I made $3,000. I'm happy with that now.
Keep going.
No, just there's money to be made. Why would you stop there? Why would you stop there? There's money.
What's your manager's name?
Lenny.
Lenny. Tell Lenny I said hi.
Yeah, I will.
Hey, and
he's going to. We have 2 dealerships. We have one is an Abel-off Nissan, which is where I work, and there's an Abel-off GNC, and that's the one down the road. Lenny's gonna get transferred by the end of this month. He's going to be general manager there. Nate is the one that's always harking at me. Like it was always harking at me. Nate, he sends me text messages now. He's like, listen, I'm like, it's not personal. It's never personal. He's like, I just see something in you. Like I've developed so many. He's been in the car business forever. Been doing it for like over 20 plus years or something. And he's like, I see something in you. He's like, I'll do this because like I see something in you. Like you're like, I'm gonna turn you into a 6-figure guy by the end of the year. Like I promise you that. Just stay dialed into me. Stay dialed into me. And they're like I said, most of the stuff that he says, I hear you say. There's another general manager too. He's getting promoted, and Jeff's another one too. Jeff is nice. Jeff. Everybody's just great. Like I don't have and dealership where I was working Mazda. Again, I didn't fit in really well there. Didn't work out.
Yeah, but you're more talented than them. That's why. And the fact that again, the fact that you are reaching out after hours training tells me a lot about your character, and you do have star power, and you got to listen to that manager. He's telling the truth. So tell him all I said hi. And we went a little overboard or overtime, but I'm very happy I got to do this with you, Rick. And you message me anytime you need, and we'll hook back up. I'm gonna post this on YouTube, and I'll get you a link so you can recap anytime you want. But I'm proud of you, man, and just keep doing what you're doing and working hard. Everything. One of the things I'll leave you with this, because I tell my sales guys this. Your wife is probably the most important person in your life, right? Of course, if you have kids, things like that. You know what a GoPro camera is?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay, so I want you to pretend when you go to work every day that there's an invisible GoPro floating at you, and your wife is watching you. She's watching her husband go to battle every day. Make that woman proud, man, because they're our anchor. I've been married 20 years this month. She is my anchor. And if I think there's a camera on me, I'm on my best behavior and I'm working hard. So tomorrow, or the next time you're at the dealership, think about that invisible GoPro. Think about the guy at the gym that has been there 10 years but's never sparred. Think about the lone wolf, and think about what it took to get that woman to say yes to you to marriage, right? It's the culmination. Same thing with a customer. All right, Rick?
Thank you. I appreciate you, Kyle.
All right.
I appreciate everything. And I will let you know what's going on with me also as time goes on.
Sounds good, bud. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You take care.
All right.